took all our cars, all our jewelry, all our money. Bank accounts were frozen. How they took us to jail. How we were posted on the news. And yeah, it's a deep story. It's just to inspire others and let you guys know that even though you lose it all, that even though you fall, you can get back 10 times harder. That if you lose everything, never lose your faith in God, but come back for part 2 so I can get deep in the details of what really happened and kind of show you guys videos of how the feds, the police, the state police, everybody did this shit at our house and how we lost everything and how I went to jail and how he went to jail and then how he's currently in jail. Come back for part 2 for it. So let's talk about part 2 of how my husband and I got indicted by the feds and how we lost everything. Jewelry, money, cars, anything you can think of, and the results of it and what happened. So for 2 years, while we wasn't aware, the feds had trackers in our cars. They had our phones tapped. Let's take this makeup off. They had like I said, they had our phones tapped. They had trackers in our cars. They were following obviously all around. They had cameras in front of our house. There's a pole in front of my house. And they had hidden cameras or whatever. And this is all without us knowing it. No, I couldn't tell no difference. Like, I couldn't tell that my phone was tapped by the feds. They were following us for 2 years. Like, they were with me through my whole pregnancy with my son, and he's about to be 2 in like 2 weeks. It's really scary how when they took us, one of the federal agents tell me, "Congrats, I've been with you your whole pregnancy. Your son is beautiful." I was like, "What the fuck? What do you mean?" So then let me go back. Let me explain to how it happened. So we was laying down, me and my husband with the kids on the bed. So we were laying down on the bed, laying down. It was probably like 4 or 5 in the morning. We laid down. We was with the kids. We were sleeping, knocked out cold. We was sleeping in our underwear. I'm talking about we was knocked out cold. And I guess they were banging on our door. It was like the big army tank outside. They were banging, but we didn't hear nothing. We was so knocked out that we did not hear anything. And typically I wake up like in the middle of like 4 a.m. to always use the bathroom for some odd reason. This time I didn't. I was typically just knocked out. So then it was so weird. They was just knocking. And we have cameras all around our house. But guess what? I would typically get notified, but our phones were dead. Both of our phones were dead. My phone and his phone was dead. So we didn't hear anything. Mine was like 4, 5, 6 in the morning around that time. And they were banging. We didn't hear nothing. Honestly, all I remember is just opening up my eyes and seeing all these federal agents with guns drawn out. My husband looked out the window. Oh yeah, I forgot that part. Before we seen him, he looked out the window and see the tank, the army tank, and said, "Babe, we're caught, we're done." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? I'm like so confused. So then I look literally to my right, to the door, and I see all the federal with gun drones out to me and where my kids are laying down at, where I'm laying down at, where he's laying down at, and he just get up and they're screaming, "Put your fucking hands up," and just saying mean things to us. And I'm just scared for my life because I don't know what's going on. I ain't never been through this before, and I don't do nothing illegally. I guess they wanted him. So then he's like, don't shoot. My husband is African American, by the way. He's black, and I'm Puerto Rican, as you know. So he's like, don't shoot. You guys know all the police brutality. So he's like, don't shoot, please. I got my wife and my kids with me. We had our newborn. Our son was like a newborn at the time when they took us to jail. So he was like, I got my wife and kids with me. Please don't shoot. And I remember he put his hands up and he's like, don't shoot. So I got out of the bed. They let me carry my son. They took both of us downstairs to the living room, and they let me hold my son, but they handcuffed me, so it was like weird. And then they handcuffed him, and they set us next to each other. And I remember just seeing over like probably like 40 federal agents. The state was there as well. It was like military. It was just all bad. They were all over the house. And I just remember feeling so nervous, and I'm like, what did we do? And then I remember the federal agent, she's like, you know, when the feds come, it's real, right? And I'm like, what? Mind you, I never been in trouble, so I don't know what the heck is going on. My husband already did federal time prior. I never been in trouble, so I don't know what the heck is going on. They're like, do you guys have any guns in the house, anything in the house? And I'm like, I'm not speaking. I'm trying not to say nothing. I'm like, so my husband's like, he's trying to whisper in my ear, telling me, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. We're going to call our lawyers. Don't be nervous. I love you. Everything's going to be okay. He was trying to calm me down because I was nervous because I didn't know what was going on. I remember my daughter, she was 3 years old at the time, and she was just so nervous. She was just crying and crying and crying and crying and crying and crying because obviously, you know, she didn't know what was going on. And I'm just holding my newborn son. Mind you, I'm going through postpartum depression. I'm going through a lot at this time. And I just remember, since he was whispering something in my ear, the federal agent, she told them to separate them too, because he's telling her things that he shouldn't be telling her. The whole time he's just telling me to calm down, babe. Everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. So then they took him, I guess they took him outside. The news were outside. All the neighbors were outside. Luckily, my neighbor got my parents' phone number. So she called my parents so they can come and get the kids. And plus, they waited, the feds, they had me in there. They were trying to, like, interrogate me, but I wouldn't give them no information. I'm like, you know, I don't know nothing that my husband do when he leaves the house. Whatever he does, that's on him. I don't know. I'm just his wife and the mother of his children. I don't know nothing that he does. I don't know what's going on. Honestly, I was lost at this point. I don't know what he got going on. So then, and I'm sorry, y'all, I know this video is long. So then they kept me in the house. They took all my jewelry off. I watched them destroy my whole home while I got my kids with me in there. My kids are witnessing this. They destroyed my whole home, my kitchen, my living room. And mind you, I'm a clean freak. My house has to be super, super organized. So they destroyed my whole home. I'm seeing cereal boxes. And I'm like, what are you guys looking for? Like, what's going on? They're like, well, do you know what your husband do? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, do you have guns in the house? I'm like, yes, I do. But they're registered to me. I'm a licensed carrier. And they're all legit guns. So they start going around looking for the guns. They said they were looking for drugs. They had the canines. They had to bring 4 different canines to look for drugs. And it was just the worst experience. My stomach was just in knots. It was just like the worst experience you could ever feel. And the crazy part is that I did not know they were following us for 2 years, guys. 2 years of my life, these people were following us. 2 years of our life, they were following us. They were with me my whole pregnancy. Every doctor appointment I went to, they were following us. Every phone call I had with a family member, my husband, anybody, they were listening to. I'm talking about anything they were listening to. But I want y'all to come back for part 3 for me to tell you more, because it gets worse and worse and worse. And then I'm going to add videos and pictures so you guys can see what they did. And afterwards, after a whole year it took me for me to rebuild my house, for me to get a new car, and everything my kids went through. I had to get my kids therapy. I had to get myself therapy. It gets so juicy. So come back for part 3. All right, y'all, so we're back to part 3. I know you guys been waiting for part 3 of how me and my husband and his little brother and 2 other people got federally indicted. So where I left off at was explaining to you guys how the feds were tracking us for 2 years. Our phones were tapped. They had trackers in our cars. They had cameras in front of our houses. So where I left off at was they took everything from us. All the money that we had. They froze our bank accounts. They took all our jewelry, including my wedding ring. If you guys can see it, this is a real bust down, real diamonds, real gold. They took that. They took everything from my hand. They took this ring from my hand while I was handcuffed. Luckily, when they came and did all that, my neighbor already had my parents' phone number, so she was aware and she called my parents, and my parents rushed and they came and got the kids. My family, I'm talking about all my siblings, this is like 8 of us, and plus my parents were there in less than like 5 minutes. I don't know how they got there so fast, but they did. So they then take my husband. The state police come to transport my husband with the feds. They take him first, and then they leave me in the house while I'm handcuffed. My parents took the kids, but while I'm about to, so the money that we had, it was like a big sack of money that was, money that we earned working and all that. We just put it together and we stuck it up in my son's diaper bag, because the day prior we had plans to go somewhere else that day of when this happened. And while I'm trying to get the diaper bag, or telling them to give my dad the diaper bag, they decided to search the diaper bag and they found a lot of money, like a big stack of money, and they took it. Which in my head, I'm like, oh my freaking gosh, now they literally took everything from us, because whatever money else they found, they took all the guns, even though the guns were registered. And they were just writing down what they took. They took all my husband's jewelry, his bust down watch, everything. They literally left me with just my kids and diapers. Basically, that's what it came down to. They destroyed my home, which took a whole year to rebuild. And I'm grateful. Don't get it wrong. I'm very grateful that at least they didn't call CPS. They didn't take them. Even though my children were not in danger, because nothing was in my home that would have put my kids in danger. I'm grateful for that. That they just took materialistic things. They took all our cars and all that, and they left me basically no car, nothing. And kids got kids appointments, and I gotta go to work and all that. But I'm grateful. So then next, I call my lawyer. He's telling me, don't talk to them. Just, my lawyer's out in Philly. I'm like about 2 hours away from him. So then they start asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Whatever my husband do when he set foot outside of the door, that's what he do. He don't bring the negativity around me or my children, because I don't allow negativity around in my home, because my home is my peace. So I don't allow none of that bull crap. So then they decided they wanted to take me to jail after they took my husband. So my parents took the kids, whatever. Everybody, I'm talking about the news is outside, all the neighbors, everybody's just outside looking. And I got shorts on. I'm like, can I get some, like sweatpants, because it's cold in that county. I know it's cold in that county. So they let me put some, sweatpants on. I had a jacket on or whatever. And then when I was walking out handcuffed going towards the state trooper's car, because that was who was going to transport me, I didn't have no socks and I had slides on, because this was in the middle of the summer. So my brother, which I love dearly, he was right there. He took off his socks off his feet and gave them to the police, and they put them on me. So then after that, they took me to the state department where they they forfeit all the cars and jewelry or whatever. And it was all these state people. And they start questioning me. They had me handcuffed to a table. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. Then they decided to transport me to the federal building with the feds. That got horrible. They shackled my feet, shackled my hands, and they took me there. Mind you, our federal building is downtown. Now it's uptown somewhere else, but it was downtown where all the clubs are at. Everybody was there. And they're just looking at me like I might have killed somebody. Like I was this big criminal, because I'm shackled, my hands, my feet. Everything was just horrible. I was so damn embarrassed. I don't even know how embarrassed I was, because I know I ain't do shit. But they still, wife guilty by association. They think I know what's going on. And let me tell you, for those that have been commenting, oh, you're his wife, you know what your husband was doing. Let me tell y'all something. When you're a woman and you stand your ground and your man loves you, if he really, really loves you, he's not going to bring none of that negativity into your home. Therefore, whatever my husband did outside of that house, that was his business. So that's how, because that was his business and he didn't involve in that, that's how I was able to get out on bond. and beat that shit. And my husband, plus on top of that, he took my charges like a real man would, because he know I didn't have nothing to do with it, so he took my charges. So then they took me to the federal building. They're asking me questions. I'm telling them I don't really know nothing. They're super mad, so they're like, you know what, lock her up and charge her if they found anything in that house or anything. He had to discharge her. So then they took me down to the booking, to the jail, Dauphin County Prison. Y'all can look it up. One of the worst counties you could be locked up at. They took me there. I was there for hours and hours and hours and hours, and I could not cry. This whole time I did not cry, y'all. I don't know what it was. I think I was just in shock, the adrenaline. It was just a horrible feeling. I couldn't cry for nothing. So they fingerprinted me. They took my mug shot, and they did what they had to do. And after they did what they did, after hours and hours of waiting, I'm thinking about my husband, my kids, everything, my home. I'm just thinking about everything. So much went through my head. After that, I finally was able to see a damn judge. So after I've seen the judge, they're reading the charges. And it's so many charges. It's a federal indictment, so it's so many charges. But the crazy thing is this. It was a federal indictment and a state indictment. Like the YSL, RICO type of thing. Indictment, that's how it was for us. So the guys got charged. It was my husband, his little brother, and two of his friends got charged with the federal indictment. I got charged with a state indictment just by being his wife. That's all it took. They had no evidence against me. When my husband got his discovery and I got my discovery, it was no evidence against me. All the pictures, whatever they had, conversations recorded, the pictures, everything they had was my husband and, his peoples. I had nothing to do with it. I was always home with the kids because I was a stay-at-home mother on top of that. So they had nothing against me. So while they're reading these charges to the judge, I'm telling the judge, I don't know, I'm just the wife. That's it. So then the judge decided to give me, because the feds here, they don't have no bail. It's called a third-party release, which you'll be released to someone. They'll have to get on the stand, testify, blah, 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 and say they'll take care of you. See, with the state, we have bail, bond. So my bond was $270,000. So you got to pay 10% of that. So luckily, my parents, they got it together, and they came out, and they got me out. So when I got out, I called my sister to come get me because she lived very close to the county. When I tell you, when they let me go, I ran out so fast out that damn place. I met my sister halfway out. She was crying, hugging me. Oh my God, my poor sister, she was crying on the phone. It was just so bad. So I told her, hey, can you take me to my house? So when I got to my house, y'all, and I'm sorry, it's very emotional. At this time, I haven't seen my kids because they were with my parents, and that was the first thing on my head. My kids, are they okay? But when I got to that house and I see my home not be a home no more, my home being destroyed, that tear me up apart because this is my kids' home. This is their comfort. And I'm not going to blame the police because obviously, my husband played a big role. If he didn't do what he did, it would have never happened. But I forgave him for it. And we move forward. We forgive people. If God can forgive us, why can I not forgive, my husband, the father of my kids? And I tell you, when I seen that, it was just the worst experience. I did not want my kids to come in the house and see that, especially my oldest, my 12-year-old. I did not want her to see that. And she was 3 at the time. I didn't want her to see that. And obviously my newborn son, he don't remember anything. But what can I tell you from this is that my daughter, my 4-year-old now, is now in therapy. She is diagnosed with PTSD, separation anxiety, and so many other things. It's just been nightmares. She hates the police. It's just been so horrible. After that happened, the story gets longer of everything I had to do to rebuild myself back up mentally, physically, rebuild my kids back up. But what I want you to do is come back for part 4 because it gets deeper than this. We're back with part 4 of how me, my husband, his little brother, his 2 friends got indicted by the feds. Okay, so I've seen a lot of questions, and I do want to say that I'm sorry for the delay. As a lot of y'all know, I lost my little sis, and my heart been hurting since Friday the 13th, December 13th. It was my son's 2nd birthday. and I got the news that my little sis was gone. So I'm hurting a lot, and it is with great pain in my heart that I am doing this video for y'all, because you guys keep asking for part 4. A lot of the questions that I'm getting is, what were the charges? Okay, so the charges were firearm trafficking, meth, trafficking marijuana, and I think trafficking fentanyl, which I totally am against. I hate that. I'm so against any drug use. I feel for people that are addicted to drugs because it hit my family as a part of that. But yeah, those were the charges. Also, I left off too at where this whole indictment, how, yes, my husband is still incarcerated. For those that are asking, it's been 2 years. He's still sitting at the Dauphin County Prison, awaiting trial or awaiting to get a plea deal from the feds. Something that sounds good, because they were thinking giving him life, and he didn't even kill no one. And this is all allegedly, to them, to the feds. Right now they're offering him, I think, 10 to 15 years, but he's still fighting it. He has a great attorney that's fighting for his freedom, and I'm stepping behind him, fighting for him as well, and just leaving it all up to God, honestly, and God's hands, because I don't condone into anything that he did, because I wasn't aware of it. Because once again, whatever my husband did outside of the house, that was his thing. He never brought that home to me. And these videos, all of them are all for educational purposes only, to tell a young youth that being in the streets, selling drugs, for the females that wants to be with guys that sell drugs or that are in the streets, that is not the life. That is not what you want to live. I lived it, and that's not it. I promise you, what I went through, what my kids went through, was not worth nothing in this world. It was not worth it. It was the popularity. None of that was worth it. The money was not worth it at all. I promise you, none of that was worth it at all, compared to the pain that I'm still dealing with, my mental, having to raise 3 kids by myself with my, my family support, but them not having their father, them having to go to a county to see their father through a glass. They can't even touch their father. He's not there for their birthday parties, even though he tries to do things for them. It's not the same as having your dad there. Your dad's watching you, your dad's seeing you, your dad is screaming for you. It's always mommy, 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 and daddy's not around. And these kids were very, very tied to their father, like this. And due to all this, and my kids experiencing them break, the feds running into our home, breaking everything, damaging my home, it took a whole year for me to build my home back up. Mentally, I got very, very depressed. I didn't want to live anymore, because I lost it all. And I'm not just talking financially. I felt like my family got broken apart. It got torn apart because my kids didn't have their father there. And I didn't want to just be another statistic where a single mother just raising her kids and her child's father is in jail, her husband's in jail. I didn't want to do that. And unfortunately, I had to go through that. And explaining to your children what's going on is probably the most difficult part of all this. So after taking a year to rebuild my home, I was able to rebuild my home with my family. They were a very great support system. They helped me fix my house back up, organize my things, and my home looks better than ever. It is my peace. I am grateful for my parents for allowing me to stay in their home while I got my home together. For a whole year, I stayed at my parents' house with my kids, and it's been nothing but a great support until I got back on my feet. I didn't have no income, no money, because they did freeze my bank accounts, and they took all the money we had, even though I had money from a settlement prior and money that I had saved up from my previous job that I worked for 6 years. They still took that and froze that money, and we're not getting that back. That's something that we will fight, and that's a civil lawsuit that we will have to fight after his indictment is done, and after he get, the time that he has to get. That's when we could file a civil lawsuit to get some of our things back. I know I forfeit my cars. In order for me to get my wedding ring back, which means the most to me because this is a symbol of my marriage, I had to forfeit my cars. Forfeit means I had to sign over to the feds and say, hey, I can keep my cars and his jewelry and this and that, if you guys could just give me my wedding ring back, even though I was innocent of all charges. The feds do not play fair. When I tell you, when they come, they come. And that's what one of them told me when they were at my home. They said, you know, when we come, we come. And it's true. When they do come, they come to take everything. They come to destroy families. They come to tear people up apart. Because believe it or not, a lot of people that are incarcerated, that are doing time, is because they don't want to go to trial. Because if they blow trial, they're going to get the max. It's because they don't have the funds, the money to get a good lawyer to fight their case for them, so they just settle for a plea deal. And plea deal don't mean snitching. It just means that they're offering you lesser time if you just take a deal and don't take them to trial, because it's more money for them to spend on a trial. It's very, very expensive for a trial. So they give you a plea deal to take. The feds go by guidelines. It's not like the state. They can give you 4 to 5 years and you do. No, they go by guidelines. They go by points. If you have a prior record, they go based on that. It's like a scoreboard typically. That's how I'm going to sum it up. So I'm hoping that my husband, he gets the least time he can get for his kids, because his kids miss him so much. My son was his birthday, his second birthday, December 13th, and my husband was not around for that. And that hurts him. That's his junior. That's our only son. My daughter, my 4-year-old, my 12-year-old, her birthday, he's not here for that. And he's broken inside in there. He's hurting, but he's staying strong for us. I'm hurting. I'm mentally hurting. I went through depression, suicidal thoughts. I didn't want to live here no more. I had no income because I was a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife. Because my husband did have a job. Just so y'all know, he always kept the job. Just greedy for money. And it caused him to, do things that he shouldn't have done, allegedly. That's what the feds were saying. So I had no income to provide for my children. So imagine a single mother of 3 kids. Your house get raided by the feds. They tear up your house. Your husband's incarcerated. He's your main provider. Because he wanted to retire me young. I worked so hard since I was 15 when I had my first child, that he wanted me to relax and be a mother because we had a newborn. My son was a newborn when this happened. He wanted me to stay at home and take care of the kids while he worked. So I thought. So now let's talk about when I went to court. My husband signed and he took all my charges because he knew I had nothing to do with it. And the charges they were charging me was for trafficking guns, drugs, and all the type of. I never did that. So thank God my husband stepped up and took responsibility for it, and they took that off of me. And I have a clean record. Thank God. I was able to get a job and start working and provide for my children. But then I got sick with my kidneys, and I just recently, a month ago, had to get kidney surgery, and now I'm no longer working. I'm on FMLA, which they don't pay you, but it just secure your job until you heal completely, which I'm not healed because I had 2 kidney surgeries back to back. Now, another big thing that this whole indictment affected us with was my 4-year-old daughter. She is now diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, separation anxiety. She's bipolar. She's very, very attached to me because she feels like her father got taken away from her, that I can get taken away from her. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't do nothing without her. Still, without her being so attached to me and feeling like she's going to lose me. When we sleep, she has to sleep with me, touching me. If I get up from the bed to go to the bathroom, she wakes up and cry looking for me because she feels like I'm gone. And this is all due to the trauma that happened with the whole federal indictment. So definitely this lifestyle, even though I was not aware of a lot of things, it is not worth it. Because when your children are the ones that are suffering the consequences of this, nothing in this world is worth the pain that your children will go through. And this is just to tell you guys that that's not the life that y'all want to live. But I want to get deeper into the details of my child and the next steps that I took. What did my husband do now? I want to show y'all videos. So I want you to come back from part 5 so I can get deeper into them details of this whole federal indictment and be done with it. Hey y'all, I just had to hop on here real quick because I just want to speak on real quick on how married men, or just a boyfriend, baby dad, or whoever don't realize how his decisions affect his household, how his decisions affect his wife, how his decisions could affect his kids. And today is my first night staying at our home after 2 years after the feds broke in our home and destroyed my home, and me sleeping in the same bed that I slept with my husband the same morning that the feds broke into our home and took us to jail, and laying there knowing he's no longer there, how hopeless I feel, scared. That security blanket I no longer have. I do pray. I stay strapped up just in case because I ain't licensed to carry. But the emptiness I feel inside just being alone without him. My kids, they feel empty without their father. He can't get up anymore and cook them breakfast like he used to do every morning, or cook me breakfast. I can't cook for him. I can't do anything for him anymore but see him through videos or send him pictures, text him on the app. And I just want to say, if you're in the streets, get out of it. It's not worth it. It's not worth losing your family. It's not worth the pain you're leaving your family, the struggle you're leaving your family, the heartache you're leaving your family. Is not worth it at all. Because trust me, when you're in there in them cells, when you're in there alone at night, it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt you so bad. You're gonna be wondering, what is my kids doing? What is my wife doing? What is my girl doing? What are they up to? You're gonna be missing them so bad. There's nothing you can do, because once they got you, they got you. So please, if you're in the streets, get out before it's too late. Be wise, please, because this pain that I feel, I don't wish it on my worst enemy. And I just pray that God gives my husband a chance to come home sooner than later, because this pain will never go away until I get him back home. And we go through our ups and downs, and he get on my nerves a lot. But me being here for the first time in 2 years and not having him here, I can't explain it. Just please get out the streets before it's too late. And women, pray for your husbands, pray for your baby dads, pray for your boyfriends, pray for them. Give them advice, even if they don't listen. Pray for them, talk to them, tell them. Show them my video if you have to. Show them the pain that they're leaving behind with their kids and their wives, their girlfriends. Show them. It's not worth it, y'all. Please get out before it's too late and these people get y'all, or you guys lose your life. But like I said, I'd rather visit my husband in a jail place, in a jail cell, than to visit him at a gravesite. And I got his shirt on, and all I get to do is cry because I miss him. But it's not worth it, y'all. That street life's not worth it. Pray for me. Good night. I'll try to get some sleep, I guess.